Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 202 of At Odds with Wrestling. Joe and Adam here. Adam, hello. How are you?
I'm good, Joe. How's it going with you?
I'm doing well. It's been a quiet week for you. I haven't seen any Doll Safarian posted.
No, you know what? I did post some stuff like maybe 2 days ago. I mean, I didn't buy anything. There's been hardly anything to look at. It like even the stuff that people claim are peg warmers, I don't even see in this area. But I have 4 tabs on BrickSeek open on my phone for some stuff, and I check it a couple times a day. So while I might not be on the hunt, I am ready. I'm ready to strike.
Mm-hmm. Well, hopefully you could be using all that extra time to watch some wrestling,
Nah, I don't want to do that. Come on now.
I guess not.
No. 202 episodes. You should know by now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you barely turned the corner with me.
Barely. Well, yeah. Listen, you claimed you were watching NXT this week, and
well, I did do a quick once over. I gotta keep tabs on Cora Jade. She's all in black now. That means she's a bad guy.
I don't know if you saw this. Can I ruin your day?
Why not? Go for it.
All right.
I'm looking at you're sharing your screen on your Twitter, and I'm waiting for this day ruining thing to come up. What a surprise! A celebrity woman has a boyfriend, or a guy. Mm-hmm. Oh no, Joe! My chances of hooking up with them are gone. It was so close before. Now it's ruined.
Well, listen, I'm just saying. If you guys got in the same room together, maybe there might have been a chance. No, I don't think so.
Oh, now it's down to just completely zero, or I'm going to say single-digit chances.
Right. I would put it less than 10.
Yeah. That's fine, though. That's fine. Another ship in the sea, or what did they say? Plenty of fish in the sea.
Another ship in the sea is what they always say.
Yeah.
Very famous saying.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into business. Let's keep this under a 3-hour show this week, huh?
No problem.
And now, At Odds with Wrestling presents This Day in Wrestling History.
All right, This Day in Wrestling History. It's the head-to-head matchup 1997 of Monday Night Raw versus Monday Nitro. Nitro, hailing from Denver, Colorado. Shout out to Wiki. Maybe you were at this show, maybe you weren't. But this is the continuation leading up to Fall Brawl of whether or not Curt Hennig is going to join the NWO or the Four Horsemen. Even though if you watch the program, it's very clear he's joining the NWO.
If he wants to sell some merch, he's joining the NWO.
That's right. It's also J.J. Dillon offers Sting another contract to face another member of the NWO, and this time it's 6.
Oh, see, that's practically the best person to wrestle. Why didn't he take that offer?
So Sting, for the second week in a row, rips up the contract. Because last week it was Curt Hennig, someone who's definitely not in the NWO. This time he knows that Sting wants to get his hands on the NWO. Mm-hmm. Sting rips up the contract, points to the crowd with the bat, who are chanting Hogan's name, and J.J. Dillon has to stand there, rub his chin, I wonder what this could be about.
So which is more annoying, a commentator playing dumb like that in that scenario, or one of them, maybe something we'll talk about later, but a returning wrestler where they're like, who could it be? Is that, could it be? Is it Killer Cross? One of those 8-minute long prolonged, not sure who it is, which is worse.
If I recall, commentary was kind of indignant of oh, we all know who he wants, but they couldn't be the ones that come right out and say Hogan. Mm-hmm. J.J. Dillon, who's supposed to be the president of World Championship Wrestling, who's supposed to be following the product, should know who Sting wants to wrestle.
He's an old man. Give him a break.
Sure. Now, over on the competition, over on Monday Night Raw, big things are a-doing, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So it's set up earlier in the night that the main event of Raw is going to be Shawn Michaels versus Mankind. Even though Mankind has already debuted as Dude Love, he's kind of doing both characters at the same time, right?
Yep, smart. Double the merch.
Right, and they're having interviews with fans. Who do they think is going to win this match? They're showing clips of the Mind Games match, one of the greatest matches of all time. And Shawn Michaels comes out for an interview and says that tonight he's going to have an insurance policy to make sure nothing fishy happens in this match. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So match is going on, and all of a sudden, Triple H and Chyna come down. And now, granted, they come down because Triple H is currently feuding with Mankind, so that kind of sort of makes sense. Chyna gets up on the ring apron to distract the referee for the real insurance policy, Rick Rude, to come down and blast Mankind with a chair, allowing Shawn Michaels to get the win. And there, at the end of Raw, standing in the middle of the ring, is Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Chyna, and Rick Rude.
Formation of the greatest, like, short run stable ever. You know? Like the
I
original
wouldn't say
DX.
greatest, but like this is the beginning of DX, like literally right here, you know?
Well, I'm saying, like, if you look back at how long of a run that original DX had, it wasn't that long, you know? So I'm saying, like, you could say, oh, DX went on forever because, you know, you had like the New Age Outlaws and X-Pac and all that shit. But I'm just saying the original group of DX had such a small run, but it was awesome.
You're talking maybe a hair under 8 months.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
That's not all that happens on this episode of Raw, Adam.
Okay.
So during a match between Chains of the DOA and Farouk, the referee gets bumped. And somebody comes out to help Chains, says he's going to, you know, whatever, revive the ref. And as soon as Chains turns his back, this wrestler comes out, grabs Chains, and gives him the yet unnamed rock bottom. And after the match, The Rock, then Rocky Maivia, stands next to Farouk and does the Nation of Domination salute. So The Rock turns heel on this episode of Raw, the same episode of Raw that's the debut of DX.
Not nearly as cool, but I guess it's somewhat historically important.
Again, at the time
will tell.
it was nothing, you know?
Yeah. Time will tell where this Rock guy, where he ends up.
That's right. It's 25 years. There's still, you know, there's still something to be figured out with that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of, so you talk about time frames, and, you know, DX is only, this iteration of DX is only around for 8 months, and, you know, we don't talk about the PG rated era when they came back and Dylan Hornswoggle Postal was their mascot and all that sort of stuff. So 3 years ago today, Adam, was SummerSlam taking place from Toronto. Okay.
Yep.
This was the match. This is Goldberg versus Dolph Ziggler, if you remember that match.
I try not to.
Okay. This was also a match with Kevin Owens versus Shane McMahon, where if Kevin Owens lost, he would have to quit the World Wrestling Entertainment, and Elias was the special enforcer for this match.
Okay.
Maybe this is like the long-term storyline of whatever's been going on with Zeke, right?
Yeah, you got to let it play out.
But I would say most importantly, Adam, 3 years ago today, Finn Balor took on the debuting, first time we ever get to see the full gimmick of the Fiend.
Yeah, I saw this on Twitter today, and I was hoping that you would cover it.
Yeah,
because I wanted to talk about, if you like rewind like to us like 3 years ago,
right?
Like you and I were just, I don't know, I don't know if you will admit to this, but we were huge marks for that presentation. Not necessarily the in-ring stuff, but the Firefly Funhouse, like the Fiend itself, the entrance, like all the hoopla. And we had talked about, you got to protect this. You got to save it as like an Undertaker thing, you know, like WrestleMania once a year, twice a year. But we were huge on that. And I remember like earlier today, I was watching the video on Twitter and I was like, man, I thought this was the coolest fucking song and entrance ever.
So first of all, I don't think any of those episodes exist any longer. They've been scrubbed from the internet.
Yeah.
Secondly, yes, if you remember, so that's another thing. So the Firefly Funhouse skits debuted the night after WrestleMania, and he's the like we don't even see Bray Wyatt as like the kiddie show host for like 3 or 4 weeks. It's just the puppets at first. And then there's like the tease of what the Fiend character is going to be. And then almost 4 months later until this comes up, right? So I do remember we were like, oh my God, I can't believe they showed this sort of restraint and everything else that you mentioned about how they need to keep this special. And I'm going to have to make a more concerted effort since it seems like the show is lining up with the 2019 pay-per-views. Where it all falls apart is the Hell in the Cell match. Because the Hell in the Cell comes up, if you remember, like the schedule was always different. Hell in the Cell takes place a little bit later on. I think it's like the October pay-per-view, right? And I don't know if you remember from that time, because I do, they made a mistake where the venue where they were holding the event accidentally sent out an image that it was going to be Seth Rollins versus The Fiend in Hell in the Cell. And nothing on TV was building toward that. It was just, they accidentally sent it out. So WWE's like, shit, I guess we have to do it. And then they did it, and it sucked.
Yeah, because they were in a no-win situation where it was like, okay, you can't have the Fiend lose, which they ended up doing. But like, if you're pre-booking this, so you're like, you can't have the Fiend lose because he's an unstoppable killing machine that we need to protect. But on the other side, you can't have an unstoppable killing machine be the champion, because he'll never lose. But somehow, like, they managed to screw it up even more by just having him just get beat up by Seth Rollins and have a bunch of tools dropped on him for the win. Oh no, that was like the ref stopped a Hell in the Cell because Seth is too violent.
Yes. And that was like the viral videos of people like walking out and booing and everything like that. And we are, so that's like October, and then 2 months later. So that's the thing is, in between this SummerSlam pay-per-view and that Hell in the Cell, and I think it'll come up unless it happened on a Saturday. I'll have to go check. I don't like to do too far in advance for this day in wrestling history. But in between this SummerSlam and that Hell in the Cell, 3 years ago was All In.
Okay.
So then, like, we get All In after SummerSlam, and it gives a tease to people of, like, what a competition product can be. And then World Wrestling Entertainment follows up, like, everyone's euphoria and high and whatever they have from All In with this that happens at Hell in the Cell, which kills off the Fiend character. Now, the Fiend character ends up having some legs for a little bit longer, but, like, how quickly did they, like, they showed restraint for the first 4 months, and then almost like 2 months after it debuts, they pretty much killed the character off, like any sort of the mystique or whatever it is that the character has.
Yeah. Well, who knows? Maybe in a week or two or a month, we might be talking about his next run.
Right.
We'll see.
Right.
I know you're excited for that.
Yes. And I also want to mention, very rarely do I do this, but when a bunch of them all stack up, I always like to mention them. So today, wrestling personalities celebrating birthdays. Kaylee Ray.
Okay.
I forget what her new World Wrestling Entertainment name is.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Isn't it like Lady Flame or something like that? I don't know.
Yeah.
The Headhunters, who we've talked about before in the show, former GCW and AIW alum in recent years. I think one of the two, they're twin brothers. I think one of the brothers lost a foot due to diabetes recently, and the other one's still angling for a singles run in AIW. Hulk Hogan's birthday is today.
All right.
Bill Alfonso's birthday is today.
Hey, happy birthday, Fonzie.
Right. And listener of the show, friend of the show, sometimes call the show, Tom Green, not that Tom Green, is also celebrating his birthday today.
Hey, happy birthday, Fonzie.
Yeah.
I kid. Happy birthday, Tom. Keep your kid in line.
Yeah, well,
only time I'm going to tell you.
I don't know. Don't head out to Indiana. I think he's going to come hunting for you.
Fair enough.
All right. So that's the past. Let's get into the more recent past. Hey, Adam, what did you like? What did you want to talk about from the last week in professional wrestling?
All right. I could just spend an entire segment breaking down the fact that Tay Conti is now Tay Mello Guevara and how it should just be Tay Guevara because you're a heel and you should take the name of your heel husband. But I'm not going to do that. I will talk about Monday Night Raw, which is a shocker. I will leave the parts of Dexter Lumis and the breakdown. I'm sure you have a lot of opinions on him. I'll leave that to you, but I'll just say that, Joe, the most important thing in recent WWE history happened on Monday Night Raw, and I don't think anybody noticed it.
Okay, I have no idea where you're going with this.
All right, so, Joe, I don't know if you know this, but I am a fan of a certain women's wrestler named Alexa Bliss. And she had 2 segments on Monday Night Raw. One of them was like a backstage vignette or something like that, or came out to the ring during a promo. I don't remember. It's not important. And then the other one was a match. Do you know what's significant about those 2 appearances, Joe?
She didn't have the doll with her.
She didn't have the stupid doll with her, Joe. Speaking of Fiend, right? The doll, as far as I'm concerned, unless this was a one-time mistake, like it was lost in luggage, the doll's gone. Which is all I was asking for the last couple months, is for the stupid doll to be gone. And I did go on, I was trying to do a journalism. I went on WWE's website, went to the Superstars page, and I wanted to see if they de-Fiendified her on WWE.com. And they did change the picture to not feature the doll, because the picture used to have her holding Lily. And now it is just a picture of her, and I was very excited. I did scroll down, and it made mention of the fact that she has a friend named Lily, but the doll's not pictured on there anymore, and I think we are one step closer to that stink being off of the character. So I'm very happy about that. I know that everybody that's listening is nodding along to their podcatcher as I say this, but very happy about that development. And also Dexter Lumis showed up at the end, whatever.
Well, I will say this. Bailey did mention the doll. Like when Alexa Bliss and Asuka were cutting their promo backstage, Bailey and her crew came by and they made fun of Alexa for not having the doll.
Yeah.
So I don't think the doll is gone per se, but just as we talked about how you need to make this Fiend special, I'm with you. I hope this is the end of the doll. The doll's gone forever. But this could be them attempting to make, like, the doll something special that Alexa Bliss only goes to when she's, like, having a dark moment or something.
It's like the demon Finn Balor.
Right, exactly. And I know there was the rumor and innuendo that they were going to make Lily, like, a wrestler or an on-screen character or some nonsense like that. I think even as much as, like, Chelsea Green even pitched that she would be, like, the human-sized Lily, which is like whatever, right? Poor Chelsea.
Poor Chelsea. God, he beat me to it. Yeah.
But I say the less of Lily, the better. Clean slate lets everyone move forward, right?
Exactly.
But obviously, you mentioned Dexter Lumis coming back. I erroneously said it was going to be John Gargano coming back this week. I thought it was going to be SummerSlam last week. I thought it was going to be SmackDown. I thought it was going to be Raw. And I'm done predicting Johnny Gargano coming back. Whatever. I'm not even that big of a fan of him to begin with. He blocked me on Twitter. He can go screw. But we could roll like Dexter Lumis and Killer Cross coming back.
Into one.
I guess we could roll them into one. So it's like all of the weird Triple H pet projects that got released when Triple H was out of power for a little while. It looks like he's slowly bringing them back. If you look at some of the online rumors, and again, we don't typically deal in rumor and innuendo, but we'll talk about it here. That Dollar King, what the hell was his name from
Top Dollar, and Ashanti the Adonis,
cousin to Hootie, could be coming back to the World Wrestling Entertainment. Which is hilarious to me that, like, they were, like, Swerve's, like, lackeys.
Yeah.
And, like, Swerve is gone. So it's like, oh, we'll just get the lackeys and hope for the best, I guess? And, like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's like having Tony Pepperoni's, like, sidekicks, but not him. Right. Calling him up to the main roster.
And at least, like, Tony Pepperoni, like, one of his goons that got let go is in, like, the bottom barrel. Like, they're the faction in AEW that's like the step below the factory.
No, that isn't he in the factory now, and they're doing Yeah, and
that's right. He is in the Factory. I was thinking of Harlan, who's in the Trustbusters.
Yeah, because QT Marshall is doing like a fake mob accent now. Like they're all pretending to be mobsters.
Yeah, and they made what's his name like Nick Camarado. Like he's not Mr. Freak Beast anymore. He's wearing like a velour jumpsuit and a fedora
and sucking a lollipop.
Yeah, it's all real weird. It's like it's got like 6 gimmicks going on, you know.
Yeah, I like it though.
I don't know. I don't know if I like it, but so it's just so funny of like Triple H like must have just got the like because and everyone's like, oh, he's been gone for a year. They said on TV like, oh, Killer Cross has been gone for a year, or like they didn't really mention the Dexter Lumis thing, but like these guys were let go in like November, so it was like what they've been gone for like 9 months, 10 months maybe, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
and again, whatever. I liked Loomis as a character. He didn't knock me out of the knock my socks off in ring. I think Killer Cross got completely exposed as being all hype, all sizzle, no in ring. And I guess they were already like, I guess like Drew McIntyre was making fun of him on social media after he came out and did the attack at the end of SmackDown, and they're positioning him already as the number 2 heel on SmackDown. And if you saw the beatdown, and like he delivered maybe some of the worst punches I've ever seen him, like the worst punches I've ever seen in my entire life. It looked like he was trying to wipe something off Drew's head. It was the lamest shit I've ever seen in my life. And they're just like back to him being like the NXT character. They're ignoring like the Roman Gladiator helmet and all the other crap that he did when he was brought up to the main roster in Raw. But Loomis was the one that was let go in November. I think Dexter or Karrion Kross was around a little bit later. All of that being said, I just think it's funny that Triple H is just going through the list of the people that Vince let go, all of his pet projects, and like, who didn't AEW pick up yet? I was like, well, Keith Lee's gone, so I can't get him.
Samoa Joe would have been somebody he would have called in an instant,
Samoa Joe, right. And if I had my druthers, I would have got like the full list of all those releases together and kind of gone through and like try to speculate who the next one Triple H is gonna try to bring back.
Maybe for next week. I like that.
All right.
I don't know Triple H's opinion on Bray Wyatt, but like if he liked any of that Bray Wyatt stuff, I can see him trying to back up the Brinks truck and bring him back. But assuming he wants to wrestle, I don't know his deal. But going back to the Dexter Lumis thing, I have no problem with Dexter. The Killer Cross stuff, hey, it brings Scarlett on TV, so that's a win. But when it comes to Dexter Lumis, I wish they had done something with like Indy Hartwell, because you know how like her gimmick was that just Dexter Lumis just disappeared. Like he was never to be seen again. He stood her up or whatever. Have a deal where like Indy is starting to fall for another guy, like even on the main roster, and that's what causes Dexter to come back. It just kind of seems weird if they keep one on the main roster and keep Indy on NXT. Just continuity. Triple H, come on, man.
Right, and I didn't watch NXT this week. There was no mention of Dexter Lumis on NXT. There was no Indy segment with it.
Mm-hmm. Not that I know of. Okay. I mean, I fast forward through most of it. I stopped for the boxing match that had pinfalls and submissions, Joe.
Oh, cool.
But and one other thing coming out of Raw that just needs a passing mention is the fact that there was like a car crash behind the interview that was going on, and then like, later on in the show, like there was cops back there, and then they just took off running after somebody. But I'll use the easy joke and say Jeff Hardy's not in the WWE anymore. But
oh, come on now.
But that's just I guess a kind of sports entertainment-y, but at least it got people talking, because they didn't really, until the cops ran by, they didn't really hit us over the head with it,
Right. So I'm assuming whatever was going on with the car crash thing back there was Dexter Lumis.
You think so?
I assume so.
Because then the cops went running, and then later on Dexter was, but I don't know why you have to wreck a car for that.
Well, okay, so one would assume, and again, he may have been involved, and I'm adding a lot more information onto this than what we were given. He may have been he may have busted out of somewhere, and that's why they're going to explain where he's been. Like he got locked up or something, or got committed, like he was in a loony bin or something.
Yeah, and the loony bin transportation just happened to be going to the arena, and that's
No. So, or like something, right? That's to explain his absence. And then he broke out and he stole a car. and he was in a hot speed pursuit. Now, why was he specifically going to this Raw in Cleveland? Whatever, right? Yeah. There's a lot of whatevers. So that's why he crashes the car, because he's just like carelessly driving, or maybe he's a poor driver. He stole a car. He needed a getaway car, high speed pursuit, and he gets away. But who knows? Like, it didn't explicitly say that was Dexter Lumis, and I think I'm okay with them not explicitly saying that, because we could just assume that it is, and then maybe it's not, and they could just pick it up as someone else later down the road.
Yeah, that's some interesting Dexter Lumis lore you got going on there.
Yeah. Right. I'm more Dexter Lumis lore than Fiend lore, but you make a good point. I would say if anyone's going to be coming back, I would say the Fiend would be the biggest get that Triple H could get to come back. I'm done with the Fiend. I want no part of the Fiend, but I think there is a market for the Fiend. And you could even have something where Lily's gone, and then that's like the storyline of how the Fiend comes back.
Yeah, just have it. Just the stupid doll can turn into a puppet and be in the Firefly Funhouse, and that's it. You know,
or
so they can keep selling the merch.
Yeah.
But like, as far as Fiend coming back, and again, I don't care either way. But like, when he was right before he was released, he was one of like the top merch guys, from my understanding. And there was a time when Fox was like, "We want the Fiend or Brock Lesnar or something like that." You know, he was one of the guys that the networks were fighting over during the brand split. So the people who, you know, buy merch and go to the WWE shows, they want the Fiend there. You know,
100%.
All right, my turn or your turn?
I think it's your turn.
All right, I will just say, hands, you know, or what am I going to say here? Applause is what I'm trying to spit out. Applause to Mr. Chris Jericho, a.k.a. the Lionheart, for his presentation and his match with Mr. Jon Moxley on AEW Dynamite the other day. Obviously, there's a lot of speculation as to, you know, Jericho doing his like many faces of Jericho. You know, he's the Painmaker, he's Le Champion, he's the Wizard, and he had said that he was going to be Lionheart for this. And you know, a lot of people had wishes, like I want to see the ECW Jericho, I want to see the Mexico Luchador Jericho, and we got, you know, pretty darn close to all of that. We got the Lionheart with the vest, with the old school trunks, with the Rob Zombie or White Zombie electric head entrance. And then the match was just an awesome bloodbath. I thought that they both did very well for themselves. And like, the match on its own would have been enjoyable enough. But then afterwards, we get the return, like the surprise return of your buddy, Phil. So I thought that from as far as main events go, it was a really entertaining main event.
Yeah, I'm with you. You know, obviously the speculation of what they were going to do for the main event of All Out, and they definitely set it up here with Moxley versus Punk to unify the titles and stuff. And apparently Punk was working everyone with the shape that his foot was in. I call it lying, but okay, you want to call it working, that's cool too. So I like the main event, I like the post-match angle, but what I'd like to talk about is the amount of blood that we got on this episode of Dynamite. We had no less than 3 5-alarm blade jobs for absolutely no reason. Brody King, within like the first 2 minutes of Dynamite being on the air, he's just giving himself like a ear-to-ear zipper job of a blade job. So much so that he was like scooping blood out of his eyes when he was on offense. If there's a TV camera around, Moxley's blading, and he just needed to think, where could I bleed that I haven't bled from before? I know, I'll cut my own earlobe, which is ingenious, right?
Uh-huh.
And then with 90 seconds left in the match, Jericho decides to tap a vein, you know? There's just something about blood in professional wrestling that just gets me going, man, you know? And everybody talks about, PG era versus, like, Attitude era. WWE's going back to TV 14 because Kevin Dunn doesn't want to beep out swears. I'm WWE. I say bring back blood. You want to stick it up AEW's ass? Give me a 5-alarm blade job on Raw this upcoming week. I don't care who it is. Give me somebody a bloody mess on Raw.
Yeah. So obviously I've seen the tweets, and it's, hey, Brody King loves the business, right?
Yeah,
And John Moxley loves the business.
we know that.
Does Chris Jericho love the business, Joe? Are you gonna say it?
Yeah, Chris Jericho loves the business. It's just, he's a poor lover. He didn't fuck anything up royally in this match,
Yeah.
I assumed he was going to go for like the lion salt or whatever and like fall or something. Or you know what, I'll give this, Moxley gets to be the first one to kick out of the Judas effect. That's pretty cool,
Yeah. And obviously you talk about bunnies, and Jericho's bunny has long since been eaten, right? It's gone, and nobody's giving him a new bunny. It's not happening. He doesn't deserve a new bunny, at least until he unblocks me on Twitter. But I was looking underneath my refrigerator, and I found like a crumb of the ear that fell off and was like kicked under the refrigerator. I'm not going to eat it, and it's not presentable, but there is a piece of his bunny left. And I haven't thrown it out yet, and that's where we're at right now.
So here's where I am with Jericho. Has Jericho eaten his bunny entirely? Yes. Did Adam find a crumb that's unpresentable, inedible, but still part of the bunny underneath his refrigerator? Sure. Is that enough to give you a lifetime pass as long as nobody eats that? No, it's just what that gives you is anytime you get a chance to do something cool, I give the next stupid thing that you do a pass. And then you're back to even,
Yeah, like right now I'm at the point where I'm like, oh shit, I found a piece of his bunny, but the next time he does something bad, it's just getting thrown in the garbage where it belongs.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I was a fan of Jericho from like the first time that I saw him in like the Super J Cup in like 95, the ECW run, the WCW run, the WWF run, so much of it. And like Jericho was like one of my like top 5 favorite guys for like the better part of my teens and like early to mid 20s. And then like he kind of goes away and he starts to become like this corny complainer, and anyone who's like over the age of 50 in the world of professional wrestling, let's not talk about their politics, but we have to talk about their politics.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of gives him like that permanent red check mark looming over his head. But then like, when Brody passed away and when Brody was sick and how much Jericho did for Amanda and the family, like that gave him like a good pass. That almost got him his full bunny back,
Yeah.
And then like all of his Trump donations came out, and I'm just like, oh, God damn it. It's the duality of man. Now is a perfect time for Jericho to go away, maybe take like 3 months off and then come back kind of refreshed, and we can kind of give him like a clean slate. He doesn't get the bunny back, but I'll give him a clean slate. Take some time off. Enjoy the fall.
Yeah. My concern, and I hope this is not a valid concern, but somehow he weasels his way into a 3-way with Mox and Punk at All Out.
I don't think they would be stupid enough to do that, but I put nothing by nobody.
Yeah, that again, it doesn't make any sense because Punk and Moxley is the match that people want to see, but Jericho's Jericho,
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's all my talking points, Joe.
All right, I got one last one. I just want to touch on it. Last week, early this week, it came out that the second quarter reporting of the World Wrestling Entertainment had to get delayed again because they found another $5 million that Vince had spent that should have been recorded as company expenses that was not recorded, puts our total at almost $20 million of unrecorded expenses. Now, everyone else is like, is this another woman? What is this? I have a feeling that this is a multitude of, and we mentioned before about Jericho Trump donations. I feel this is just Vince Trump donations. Mm-hmm. This came out the same day that Johnny Ace was officially relieved of his post, which we all knew was going to be happening sooner than later. However, is this going to be the end of stuff coming out about Vince? I doubt it. I think we're going to get more. This did give them another 2 weeks to restructure everything for the second quarter reports. Do I think that they're purposely maybe holding stuff off so they can kind of keep pushing off when they have to do the second quarter reports thing? Let's see how close it is in the next 2 weeks that another thing comes out to give them another 2 weeks, and then I'll say the conspiracy is real. But I think it's at this point we're almost at the line of like, yeah, Vince is a scumbag and he was using company money for scummy things. Okay, what else? Moving on. Like, you need to give us something more substantial than the same thing that he's been just doing over and over and over and over again,
Yeah. But with that being said, it has been a bad week for old, rich, white sex offenders, and I love to see it,
Yeah, it's always a good time.
Yeah. All right.
So listen, we're going to move things around just a smidge, okay? I'm going to put the phone calls here, if that's okay with you, before we get into homework.
Sure, go nuts.
All right. First call.
Joe and Adam, it is Kevin Ford, and I am coming to you from a squatty potty in honor of Tom Green, the birthday boy and fellow listener, friend of ours. I'm calling with a question, kind of a double-pronged question. So Monday is the series finale of Better Call Saul, a show that I adore and I review over on the Real World Podcasting Network if people want to listen to that. And in the show, Saul, when he's in witness protection years later, works as a manager of a Cinnabon, which made me, of course, think of you two, since your co-host for your respective podcasts also works for a Cinnabon. But I love Cinnabon, but it's only something I indulge in once a year for Christmas. On Christmas Eve, I go to Cinnabon, get some for my family, and that's what we do Christmas Day. But because Cinnabon has a special deal and it's for the finale of the show, I'm making an exception. So that made me think of a two-part question for the both of you. The first is there an indulgence you have once a year, maybe twice a year, maybe a special cocktail or beverage or a meal or something of the sort that it's only once a year that you tend to engage in? And question number two, is there a movie or TV or even maybe a wrestling tie-in of a meal or something you have had, perhaps for a pay-per-view party or something along the lines of what Joe and Todd did when they went to Denny's and got the Thing sauce many, many years ago? Looking forward to hearing about your answers. Thanks for taking my call. And, don't fuck up.
All right. Thank you for the call, sir. My favorite independent wrestling commentator.
Wait a minute.
But I will say, the first thing that pops into my mind is I don't buy these often, and I think maybe once a year, but once a year I remember that Krispy Kreme is a thing. And like, it's usually because like somebody I know would have bought like one of those coupons from like Boy Scouts or something like that, or a school fundraiser, and been like, here, do you want this free dozen of Krispy Kreme? And I'll be like, do I? And then I'll go buy like the dozen, and then I'll eat it in like a day, and then I'll be like, never again. And then a year later, the cycle repeats.
So the thing that I'll go out of my way for, and it's only because it's only available for a certain amount of time, like a limited time. And that would be the Gobbler from Wawa. Now, I hate Wawa. Wawa sucks. Sheetz is the best. That's my team. But that 1 month out of the year, when Wawa has the Gobbler, which is essentially just like a turkey dinner on a sub, and they only sell it in the month of November, I make a point to go and get one every year. Now, granted, the last 2 years, it's been a little bit more difficult, because of the pandemic. But as long as the Gobbler has existed, I got one. And now they're opening up a Wawa in our neck of the woods, a little bit closer to us.
Oh, I don't like that.
So it may not be as special as it used to be. But I'm trying to think, like, there's no one thing that it's like, oh, this is my special occasion meal. Or treat or whatever it is for myself. Like, I thought to myself, like, it used to be fish because my wife hates fish. But I had fish left over in the freezer and she made me fish today. So I'm like, oh, it's not a treat anymore. I just had fish today, There used to be, like it's usually like a shitty fast food, but I eat more fast food these days. Like, there was a time where like, I would get Chinese food as a treat. And I get Chinese food like once a month now. Go to the hibachi place, like that's my kid's like favorite restaurant behind Sheetz. That comes up a little bit more frequently than that used to be like the special like one time a year treat. But I think the Gobbler would be the closest for me.
Yeah. Also, that sounds disgusting.
It's delicious. You don't know what you're missing.
Yeah. But I don't think I can't think of anything that's like, oh, this food is synonymous with like wrestling or watching wrestling with people or anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you.
No, but I think what Kevin was asking was like, is there like a comfort like food movie or TV show or wrestling thing that like you just kind of like sit back and watch and be like, like that feels good. I don't have anything like that, but there are certain like podcasts that I listen to because I archive every podcast. I'm not like a streaming person. I'm a download and keep stuff for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And there's stuff that I have. There's certain like episodes of like Dana Gould podcast that I'll listen to. There's certain like the Between the Sheets. If I just want to kind of like chill out and relax. And again, it's so like funny, but like I'll put like the Downfall of the World Class Between the Sheets episodes on, and just kind of like let like that failure wash over me, and I feel good about myself,
Yeah.
I really like the 2 episodes of the Brucey podcast. Remember the Bruce Pritchard podcast? Remember that was a thing?
Just from you talking about it, yeah.
Right. About his time in TNA. I really like those because that was before Bruce got rehired by World Wrestling Entertainment. And that was before he got rehired by TNA. And he just went on there to shit over everyone. And it was like the most real Bruce that we ever got, and it was the best.
All right. But I will just say I've never seen Better Call Saul, and I've never seen what's the show it was spin-off of Breaking Bad. Never seen that either.
I tried watching Breaking Bad like right as like maybe the last season was like airing, and I'm like, oh, it's all on Netflix, let's watch it, right?
Yeah.
And we got up to the 2nd episode, and spoilers for like a 10-plus-year-old show. They do a gimmick where they have to like dissolve a body, okay?
Yeah.
And I said, I don't, Walter White, what the hell is the actor's name, the lead guy?
I don't know.
Cranston, Bryan Cranston, right?
Yeah.
He tells Jesse, he's like, okay, if you're going to do it, like, here's all the chemicals, but we have these tubs, like those, like, Rubbermaid containers. You have to do it in this, okay? Jesse doesn't listen and does it in the tub in the house that they're at, and it just dissolves right through the tub and the floor, and the like decaying, messed up body just goes everywhere, right?
Sure.
So we're watching that, and my wife's like, I don't know what the hell this show is. I'm like, and I'm dying. I'm like, oh my God, this is like wild, right? And she goes, I thought this show was supposed to be funny. I'm like, that's hilarious. She goes, I don't want to watch this. So that was the end of me watching Breaking Bad.
It got a parental block and you weren't allowed around it.
It was just one of those things where it's like, hey, I can sit and watch it by myself, but like there's so much other stuff. It was something I'm like, oh, we could watch it together. And she was just like, nope, we're done.
Yeah. All
right. Next call.
Hello, Adam. Hello, Joe. It is I, the strongest man in all the land, Arthur MacArthur, at your service. We have it's a little house show loop, I like to call it, this Saturday at North Canton Street Festival. If you're a local and you're listening to this, you should go. It's fun, be free, and plenty of funnel cake and good fair food around. And with that in mind, obviously, like I said, it's kind of like a house show vibe. I don't want to consider it a house show vibe, but that's kind of what it is. And obviously, house shows, we've all been to them. They're fun. I'm sure you guys have been to a couple of house shows that, obviously weren't on TV and whatnot. Tell me some of your favorite memories. I can tell you one. I was a young child, watching Stone Cold and The Rock go at it at a house show in Cleveland back in 2001. And, looking back, that's just insane to think about. The fact that I got to witness one of the greatest rivalries of all time. I don't even remember who won that match. The whole thing is a blur. All I know is this was during the invasion angle, and, things were kind of weird. I think Horace Hogan was on the card, if that puts in any perspective of the talent that night. Anyways, let's hear some of your favorite memories. I'm out. Take care.
All right, well, thank you for the call, Artie, and good luck at J-Lit. Artie is facing Chuck Stone. The Mega Powers explode here. Bulking season forever, no more. I don't know what's going to happen there, but I will say, and I think I told this story before, but at the CYC, I saw Ric Flair defending the world title, the WWE world title, against Macho Man Randy Savage. And Macho won with a dusty finish and like was celebrating with the belt. And I thought I just saw the WWF like championship change hands in front of 4,000 people or 3,000 people at the CYC. And I didn't understand that they reversed it. And I just went home thinking I saw the world title change. And like the next week on like Superstars or whatever, when Ric Flair was still champion, I was mad.
I was at that house show as well.
Yeah.
That would have been 92. That would have been in between WrestleMania and SummerSlam. And they did that. So CYC used to be like a C minus town, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, they decided instead of running multiple crews whatever that was, like from April to August, instead of running multiple crews like the A show, the B show, the C show, they're just like, we're just going to do all of the towns that we do, and everyone's just going to get the same show. Macho Man versus Ric Flair on top for the title, Brett versus Shawn for the Intercontinental title, Beverly Brothers versus Legion of Doom, Natural Disasters versus Money Incorporated, like boom, 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 right down the line, okay?
Yeah.
And the problem is, because they decided to do the same show in all the towns, it was the same show in all the towns with all the same finishes in every town. Now, granted, I wasn't like a smart fan or anything like that, but I would be getting I would still be getting like the after mags, and they would have like the arena report in the back.
Okay. Yeah.
And you would have the WWF house show results, and it would literally be every town, the same exact set of matches, the exact same set of finishes, every town. So, like, by the time that, like, we got those matches, I had already read the results in the PWI because they weren't changing things up, right?
Yeah.
Because I was going to the CYC all the time from, like, 85 until, like, 97. It wasn't, like, a continuous thing, but, like, I have so many house show memories. If I was to pick just one, it had to be... I'm trying to think when this would have been. This would have been summer of 1987. The opening two matches were a not yet debuted on TV Sam Houston.
Okay.
And a not yet debuted on TV, still in WWF, called Dingo Warrior.
And mustache and all?
Mustache and all. He had the red and white face paint. He came out to that song, I Am the Warrior, because like on the house shows, they just played whatever, right?
Yeah.
So they come out and I'm watching, like, we didn't have Turner TV in 87. We didn't get it until like almost like 88. But we had World Class on ESPN. So I recognized the Dingo Warrior, and he was still on World Class TV because the way that they did the TV cycles then. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy's coming to the WWF because he's on the WWF house show, but he's still on World Class TV, you know? So like that blew my 10-year-old mind. And I think that might have been the same show where the Islanders beat the shit out of a drunken fan. It was just like this guy in the aisle was just giving them shit the whole time. And as they're coming out after their match, he stands up and he gets in their face. And it's one of those deals where it's Haku and Tama. And again, Haku, they grab this guy. And when they pull him over the rail, they pulled him so hard, they pulled his shirt off of him as they pulled him over the rail.
Mm-hmm.
And they just beat the shit out of this guy. And I'm like, oh my God. And like the cops and the security people had to come and break it all up. But that was like one house show in 87 that I went to. And that's a good one.
Yeah. It sounds pretty exciting for 3 years before wrestling became a thing, but you know.
Well, listen, it was a different time.
Yeah.
All right. Adam already called back.
Oh, all right.
Oh, that's allowed?
Yeah, that's fine.
Artie Mack back in the voice line. I wasn't going to call twice. I don't like taking up time, but I think we all saw that announcement for Jalen. And
there you go.
What can I say? Fucking season implodes. There's not much else I can really say. I'm sure you guys are going to love to talk about this. Joe, you got your wish. Adam, I'm going to need you to come. We have some business to discuss. Thank you.
Yeah, you know what? It's obvious that him and I are in the same mind because I already mentioned that. But man, I want to go to Jaylit. I already tried Jay Gold again, and Jay Gold, I'm 0 for 2 on having a road trip with him out to Ohio. But I don't know. Maybe I'll blow a bunch of money and come out to Ohio one more time this summer.
That's coming up soon, isn't it?
I had it in my phone and then I deleted it when it appeared that nobody wanted to go, or at least nobody from our neck of the woods. But it's I don't know. Well, you talk. I'm going to look this up. Oh, August 19th and 20th.
Yeah, that's not my wife has a work trip that weekend.
Mm.
We were just going over like what the rest of the summer looks like for us, and yeah, she's gone to the bustling metropolis of Nashua, New Hampshire this weekend. Unironically, I didn't even want to tell her everything that happened in Nashua, New Hampshire this past weekend. But Ed over on Pod Van Dam did a good job of kind of covering where everything was from there. But yes, so I said to John Thorne that I wish it was Artie and Chuck starting off the gauntlet for the gold, if he could fix the numbers somehow, because I know John adheres to strict Royal Rumble rules and every draw is a shoot,
Yeah, they have that big barrel in the back that you spin and like their names run like ping pong balls.
Exactly. And I had even tweeted out publicly that the opening rounds for the J-Lit should be anyone that's in there as a tag team against each other,
Yeah.
But I'm glad we're getting at least one, and it's the most important one. I love Artie. I got a chance to meet Chuck for the first time. It seems like an equally nice guy to Artie. But I'm Team Artie on this one. I think Artie's got to take it.
Yeah, well, thank you for the support. I appreciate that. And why is it that when you book tag team partners against each other or suggest the booking of them being against each other in the first round of a tournament, it's okay. But when I do it in the gender-neutral monarch of At Odds, I get a boot in the face from the boar. Why does that happen?
That's between you and the boar.
Yeah, but you egged him on. You instigated the whole thing.
Allegedly. I think those episodes have been deleted as well.
Oh, Jesus. Somebody's got to archive our old episodes, man.
Yeah, someone. That's not it.
But good luck, Artie. I think we got this.
All right, next call.
Hey, guys. Kevin here. So I keep going back and forth debating something. On Saturday, there's an independent show that is, without exaggeration, about 5 blocks away from my house. And I'm just, I'm not excited for it, but it's an indie show, and it's that close to my house. So Gangrel will be there, Fandango, and Max Caster.
Oh,
in addition to the expected local talent, Then it's not expensive and all. I'm like, I should go, but I'm just not excited. Then I'm like, well, what if I miss something and all? And then I have the fear of missing out. I should probably go. But my question is I'm debating this, and going back and forth. Do either of you have a show that you could have gone to easily could have gone to, you skipped it, and you're still mad because something happened at that show? Title change, a debut, a good angle, something memorable, who was there, whatever it might be. Just to show that you're still mad to this day that you didn't go to, despite it would have been in the neighborhood, quick drive, whatever, an easy show for you to have gone to. So I think that's it for this week. Thank you guys for the show. Looking forward to next homework assignment too. Bye.
Honestly, and first things first, Kevin, thank you for the call. I just completely sidetracked. Oh, yeah, definitely go to that indie show. If it's that close and it's a little indie and you can get a mark photo with Dirty Dango or Max Caster, or even do some fanging and banging with Gangrel, you got to do it. You'll regret not getting to scissor Max Caster, so do that. But I have a feeling you've got an answer lined up, Joe. I cannot think of a wrestling show that I was going to go to and then didn't, or could have went to and then missed out on. Obviously, I had tickets to WrestleMania when it was in New Jersey a couple years ago, and I decided not to go, but I didn't regret that at all. So what about you, Joe?
So I'm with Adam. If it's literally walking distance from your house, and I don't know what Kevin's deal is when it comes to this sort of thing, maybe bring a flask, maybe get a little tipsy.
Yep.
Have a walk, have a good time. If there was a wrestling event 5 blocks from my house, I would 100% be there. You should be there. Go there, make some friends, get that scissor photo with Max Caster. Again, Fangin' and Bangin', Dirty Dango, all these guys are cool. Go have fun.
Yeah.
As for me, something I missed out on, I'm going to start it with this.
There are those who say that the Terry Funk Sabu barbed wire match was too extreme even for ECW. And we would be hard-pressed not to agree. Here's your chance to judge for yourself.
So, the 25th anniversary of this show was just this past Tuesday. It happened to fall on Terry Tuesday as well. When I started going to the ECW arena shows in October of 1995, I went to every single one, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't miss any. I was there every 3 weeks. They even pulled a fast one and like threw an extra one in there, like January of 97, and we hit that one. And that was the debut of Rick Rude as the Masked Man, taunting Shane Douglas, right?
Yeah.
So we go to Barely Legal. We talk to some people. Bob Ryder, rest in peace, included. He does the trips. And me and my buddies were going to go to Hardcore Heaven in Florida, the second ECW pay-per-view, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, it's my first time being on a plane. It's my first time going to Florida and all this other stuff. And it's a big expense for someone who's 20 years old. And I go, you know what, guys? I'm going to have to skip the arena show. The one that's right before it. I go, the money's a little tight. I'm going to have to skip it. And that was ECW, Born to be Wired, Terry Funk versus Sabu, no rope barbed wire match, where the barbed wire is like so not gimmicked that it shreds Sabu's pants off of him. Sabu gets a cut that is opened up on his arm that they get on camera where Fonzie just pours super glue into it and he athletic tapes the arm shut. And the end of the match is they get like clippers and cut the barbed wire down. And like Sabu tries to wrap it around himself to give some sort of move to Terry Funk. But when he does, they both get entangled in the barbed wire and they have to cut the two of them out of the barbed wire. One of the craziest matches in ECW history. And my buddies that I went with, again, we all have different paths in life. And, we don't talk as much as we used to 25 years ago. But when that anniversary of that show comes up every year, I get a message from them saying, you're the only one that missed this. And I do. It's one of those ones, like, it's the only arena show that I missed on like an almost 2-year run of going to shows.
Yeah. Well, at least according to that ad you played, for $29.95 plus $5 shipping and handling, you can get the VHS.
I could, and I did. I bought the VHS at the, whatever,
Yeah. All right, cool.
All right. Next call. You don't have any, you mentioned your one, like your WrestleMania or whatever it is that you missed, that you had the tickets.
Yeah, like I said,
for.
Yeah, nothing that I was like, oh shit, I wish I was at that show though,
Right. We got one that came in just under the wire.
Hey, Joe and Adam, what's happening? It's your boy, the Michael Jordan of Kevin Owens figure collecting, Kenny from the Mystery Men. Hope you guys are doing well. Joe, it was an absolute pleasure to hear you on commentary for the Bill Alfonso Hardcore Tournament. Lots of fun. And I have a question, but I don't have a question for you guys. I have a question for, as the car goes by my house, a question for Brett and DJ of We Need Wrestling.
That's right.
Fuck stuff with Shingo, man. He murders people and runs through guys and should just be mowing them down on a quest to win the belt. But the booking over there in New Japan's all kinds of weird. What's your take on it? I mean, I know I'm sure Adam will cover this as being a Japanese expert. We're in the thick of the G1. He's going to talk all about it. But I don't know. Want to see Shingo murder people? Not like literally, in a pro wrestling sense. Anyway, hope you're good. Bye.
Well, I obviously I don't want to step on Brett and DJ and give my opinion on it. Obviously, I have some strong takes on it, and how they can better do the G1 in the future. But I will defer to Brett and DJ because Kenny did call in for them. I will just say, Kenny, I did not know that you were the Michael Jordan of Kevin Owens figures. That's awesome. I've seen a lot of test shots up on eBay. Let me know if you picked any of those up or if you're close to it. Some of them are pretty cool and pretty inexpensive.
So I will say, since Kenny, thank you for calling, by the way. Since he's the Michael Jordan of Kevin Owens figure collecting, I wonder, does that count Kevin Steen figures as well? And does that mean
Figures Toy Company?
Right,
yeah.
that means he has the shitty FTC one as well.
Well, I mean, there's no shame in owning an FTC figure. I do own a Kurt Hawkins one. It's autographed, but I own one.
That's okay.
You just don't want to have a lot of them. You don't want to be an FTC collector, but like if one of your guys has an FTC fig, it's allowed. Like if I happen to stumble on one of those 1 in 100 whatnot exclusive Ethan Page FTCs, I'd take it.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Thanks, Kenny.
All right. Pink button time.
All right.
Hey, Joe and Adam. It's Ed. I'm not sure how this will sound because normally I record this in my car, my producer, but I don't have my car today because I locked myself out of my apartment this morning. I had to walk to work. My tummy hurts, but I'm being very great about it. The first time I've mentioned to anybody that my tummy hurts today. That's how my day is going. But I wanted to say something about wrestle queerdom that I didn't get to say on the show this week. And it's exclusive for you guys. You know who I feel really bad for in all of this? Is Sally's mom. Because, like, I was a giant fuck up when I was 22. So, like, my parents had to fix a bunch of my pop pussies over a doll. So, like, in hindsight, like, I feel bad for that woman. But mostly I feel bad for her because, like, she doesn't know anything about wrestling. And now, like, that woman thought she had to pay everybody because she doesn't know wrestling is a real business. Like, she wasn't aware that you could just not pay these people. That's an option. She thought, like, these people work. I gotta get money. She doesn't know wrestlers get fucked over on pay all the time. Like, she didn't have to put a dime out to these people. But, you know, she did. She went in there and she, like, her and the Von Englands, and they fixed it, I guess. But, like, did anybody think, you know, when Ian Rotten's fist would go on pay, or Gabe's, like, getting paid experience, does anybody ever try to call their mom to, like, tell on them? I think that's how I would handle it now. And if I ever get stiffed on pay, if I'm on the show, I'm definitely just going to call this a and moms don't know any better, apparently, and they'll pay me. That's the life hack, everybody. When Gabe comes back from whatever his, you know, what his next project's going to be, he doesn't want to pay you. Everybody just call Gabe's mom. We have his phone number, so we can definitely ask him for his mom's phone number. Whatever you got to do it, just say it. All promoters' moms to get money. Bye.
I don't know if there was a question in there, but I like that idea. Let's just blame or like call everybody's mom. But I do feel bad that like if the mom is just a normal upstanding person trying to make right for their kid's fuck up, that is kind of a shitty thing. And yeah, call Gabe's mom.
I don't know what Gabe's familial status is, but I like that idea of when you get stiffed by a promoter, like finding out who their family members are and not harassing them, but like telling their mom or their parent or like guardian on them. I love that idea. And Ed mentioned, of course, about Sally's mom and, the wrestling, the Transgraps girl, Sally, and the Wrestle Queerdom show and all the other nonsense. Like I said, I mentioned it before. Go listen to Pod Van Dam this week. Ed does a great job of talking about everything that kind of happened with that up to Monday. More stuff has happened. Sally's mom stuff. People speculating that Sally's mom might not even be real. And at this point, I'm kind of just done with it all. I'm like, if it is a real person or not, and everyone seems to feel that it is, I'm glad everyone has a happy ending to their story. I hope we can all move on and we can use this as a learning experience. And when a 22-year-old books multiple international flights to run a show with little to no promotion in Nashua, New Hampshire, ask for your pay up front.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have no skin in the game. I don't care about this story at all. It's just entertainment value, you know? So, like,
Sure.
If there's more developments, great. If there's not, I don't care. But it's just, that's one of those things that a lot of people are worked up about it, but I'm just like, whatever. I'll forget about it by next week.
Yeah.
You know?
I went and muted everything that's associated with it. So I'll hopefully never hear or see it again after today. So thank you, Ed, for bringing it up for the last time I ever have to hear about it.
Yeah. And step up the call quality next time as far as audible quality, Ed. Come on.
I'll give you a pass because you got locked out of your house. But hopefully everything's okay. Hopefully you got back into your house, you know?
Yeah, just break a window.
There you go.
Yeah.
So hey, we moved things around. Let's get into homework from last week.
Homework. It's an obligation you owe your family and yourself. Homework. Homework. It's an obligation you owe your family and yourself.
All right, Joe, you assigned me yet another Chikara show. This was Chikara Battle Not With Monsters. And this was airing live in Flair Country, huh? In North Carolina?
That's right, from the CWF Mid-Atlantic complex in a strip mall in Gibsonville, North Carolina. I did forget to include the link in the show notes last week. That's my bad. But if you didn't get a chance to watch it, you can certainly head over to our friend Kevin, who you just heard call in before, who's going to go to that indie show 5 blocks from his house.
Yeah,
his website, masslibrary.com. He did a very thorough write-up of the entire show. I kind of played loosey-goosey with it. I gave Adam some fishbone stuff that was like mandatory watching. The rest of this stuff, I'm like, you'll figure it out, right?
Yeah. So I will tell you that I watched the entire show.
Look at you.
Only because I forgot what you said was skippable. I assumed that the Saturnine match was supposed to be skippable because everything of hers has been. But beyond that, I was like, I don't remember, and I wasn't going to go back and listen to the show to find out. So I just basically put it on and watched the whole thing.
All right.
So right off the rip, we have Tim Donst, Jakob Hammermeyer, Veronica Ticklefeather, and Ed Cody's favorite wrestler, Steve the Turtle Weiner, coming out. And basically, it is Donst is going to be the rock and roll ring announcer for the show because Gavin Loudspeaker is MIA. There's implications that, he no-showed, that he might have had a issue with his transportation, a flat tire, whatever. Commentary does make the mention that it's not like Gavin to miss a show, but Donst does a little bit of a song, healing the crowd, telling them that they're pieces of shit, whatever. So they're going to be the hosts of the show, the ring announcers, whatever. Your first match is Ophidian Cobalt and Bateria versus Los Ice Creams, Fire Ant, and Assailant. I will say, Joe, I could be making too much of this, but I've learned to be paranoid of everything I see. In the crowd, there's just 2 dudes. One's wearing like a gladiator mask and a hoodie, and the other one is bandaged up like Hush from Batman. Yes. And I'm like, okay, they're there. They're a little bit too big to be like kids in the crowd. And they're clapping enthusiastically, like over the top fans throughout the show. So I was like, okay, this seems like something that I should be paying attention to.
Yeah, you're wrong. It was not. It was just 2 fans came dressed up. The other one was MF Doom, which I did not know at the time because I'm completely out of touch. But Mantis actually recognizes it on commentary because he's much more hip than I am.
Okay. All right, whatever. I was just like, I have to be vigilant, and I'd rather see something and be wrong than not see something that I need to say,
And speaking of vigilant and speaking of this, maybe you didn't notice, I'm going to guess that you didn't. I just want to throw this out here before you get into the match. Donst and the crew opening up the show, right? Donst sings his Heel on the Crowd song. He mentions that he doesn't like Cookout, which gets a huge negative reaction. Do you know Cookout?
I have no clue.
Cookout is a very localized Southern fast food chain that it's like, your usual, your burgers, your fries, your hot dogs, but they also like have like 40 different versions of milkshakes. And that was like the big destination that everyone was like, oh, we're going to North Carolina. That means we're going to go to Cookout as well. And then we go after the show. And it's like this crazy long line, but it was worth it. It's Cookout. So obviously it's the local thing. So he has to heel on it. And I watching this back, you really couldn't tell. But Jakob showed up late to the show and he had a black eye. I don't know if you could tell or not.
No, I didn't notice.
There was some personal issues that were going on with Jakob that he showed up with a black eye, but the intent was, let him go out there with that to make people believe that Donst is the one that gave it to him because of their abusive relationship. And again, 2013 is a different time than 2022 when you look at so many of these angles in Chikara that are built off like these weird power dynamics. And then when you know what had been going on and is still going on in Chikara that still exists in secret, kind of puts all of that into perspective.
Yeah. All right, so first match, as I said, Ophidian Cobalt Batiri versus Los Ice Cream's Fire Ant Assailant. Just a big scramble type match, 4-on-4. Cobalt and one of the Ice Creams do a bit where they're like wearing each other's masks that they grab from the gimmick table and are like mocking each other and doing each other's mannerisms. There was an abdominal stretch bit where there was leverage from the crowd that went like across like multiple rows of the one side of the arena, and it went on for like 10 minutes, and I really didn't need all of that. But maybe I'm in the minority, but it just went on too long. Assailant was hypnotized by Ophidian at one point, and then there was like kind of dissension between the Ice Creams and the Colony that leads to the Batiri getting the win for the heels.
So the bit that you mentioned where Cobalt and Ice Cream or El Hijo de Ice Cream get like the gimmick like merch masks of each other, and then if you notice they run a set of spots where Cobalt runs El Hijo de Ice Cream spots, El Hijo de Ice Cream runs Cobalt spots while they're wearing each other's masks. And then when they take the merch masks off, they do the same exact set of spots, but the correct way immediately afterwards.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't know their offense well enough to know like who's doing whose spots,
Right, but it's like one of those things where it's like, oh, it's a duck for a back body drop. Cobalt walks around and does the pinch. They do this. They do the spear, and then they do like this weird flying elbow bit, right? Mm-hmm. So like and then they just do the same exact set of spots, but like the opposite guy does them after they have the mask off. Anyway.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay. Also, it's been a long time since we've watched an Ice Creams match, so of course, it's the typical 18-minute plus opener with Los Ice Creams because they gotta like stall and get all their bullshit in. And yes, there is no Los Ice Creams match that does not go too long and overstay its welcome.
All right, so after the match, Donst is back on the mic. He's going to do the raffle. And speaking of things that are super appropriate for 2022, Donst is going to raffle off a kiss from Veronica. And then, obviously, Turtle goes and just chases her around because he's going to just force himself on her. Mm-hmm. And, I'm not sure if this happened there, but basically Donst berates Turtle and tells him that, you'll never have a woman. You'll be alone for the rest of your life, yada, yada. But the next match is Missile Assault Ant versus Saturnine. Very quick match. Apparently, ants cannot resist running through purple capes, but Saturnine gets a relatively quick roll-up. And before this match, I forgot to mention, Don says that this is going to be Saturnine's second-to-last match because on the next Chikara show, she's going to have like a loser leaves town or a Saturnine must retire if she loses match against Donst.
Well, no, yes, but no. So yes, she's having a match with Donst, but Donst is implying that he's going to like end her career. Like there was no specific stipulation that says this is her last match. But
yeah, it was vague. I was just kind of
it kind of sort of ends up being, but that's neither here or like it's one of her last matches, but that's neither here nor there.
Gotcha. All right, next up, Colony Extreme Force of Arctic Rescue and Orbit Adventure Ants versus 3.0. Deviant is the new leader of the Extreme Colony Force, and Gran Akuma comes out to make it a 6-man tag. Extreme Force stops mid-move to say their names a bunch of times, which is kind of funny, but eventually Colony Extreme Force, Jesus, gets all their accessories involved in the finish, use them to lay out Akuma and get the win.
Yeah, I skipped this match.
Yeah. It was fine. I mean, I want to watch 3.0 matches, but so far, I'm going to be honest with you, Joe, I'm 0 for 3 on this show.
Okay.
Next up, we have the Shard versus Amasis. I don't know if I've ever had to watch an Amasis match before. If I did, I don't remember it. This is where basically Leonard F. Chakarson says, you know what, I'm pretty sure I saw Gavin earlier today at the venue. So any stories of him not making it there have suspicions for that. Fun, quick, short back-and-forth match. Amasis wins.
So Amasis had previously retired, if you remember, way back, one of the season-ending things. The Osirian portal comes out. Amasis announces that he is going to be retiring. Ophidian turns on him and gives him the mist and lays him out, and that's the beginning of the Ophidian heel turn. But nobody ever leaves in wrestling, so Amasis comes back, and again, whatever your feelings are in regards to Ophidian and Amasis, I have been skipping their matches if I could, and this match is, I skipped this match.
Yeah, and again, I just didn't remember what I was allowed to skip, so figured I'd err on the side of caution. I am 0 for 4 so far on this show.
Okay.
But next up, we have Don's talking about how he should be the next grand champion because he is the face of Chikara.
The face?
And out comes a taped up Gavin loudspeaker with his electrical tape around his, or not electrical, duct tape around his legs and body and face and stuff like that. And apparently he was, captured by Donst and his cronies and locked in a broom closet. And Gavin gets all tough guy up in Don's face, and Don's just shoves him down, and that's pretty much it for that. But Gavin takes over ring announcing and some commentary for the rest of the night.
So obviously you get the bit where, Donst and his cronies kind of hijack the first half of the show.
Yeah.
So where do you think this is going, Adam? Or do you know where this is going that you've had this stooged off or spoiled on you?
Nothing has been stooged off to me. So, I was almost tempted, and we'll get into this later on because I was kind of curious, and I'm glad that nobody has told me yet, and I hope it stays this way, but if it happens, it happens. I was kind of tempted to look up the Chikara Grand Champion lineage.
Yes.
But I was like, nah, you know what? When it happens, it happens. I'll because I don't know when Eddie Kingston is going to drop the belt, and I'd rather be surprised.
For sure.
But I have no clue as far as where this is going. I mean, the layman would be like, oh, it's eventually going to lead to a Donst versus Gavin, haha match. But I honestly have no idea.
Okay.
Next up, we have a promo from Archibald Peck. He's got an interesting mustache, a little twirly mustache potentially, but whatever. He's basically getting ready to wrestle Jigsaw. And I will say, going into this match, I wrote down, and maybe this will change by the end of the match, Joe, but I wrote down that, he's not mixed martial Archie anymore. He's not being represented, shall we say, by the mysterious and handsome stranger. And he's not in his feud with, Mr. Touchdown and Veronica Ticklefeather. So with all those things being said, I was like, I'm kind of losing interest in Archibald Peck. Going into this match. But with that being said, we have the match versus Jigsaw. Jigsaw is preventing Archie from showing off his new move once again. Jigsaw kills Archie with an electric chair drop on the edge of the ring apron. Eventually, Archie wins with a roll-up and a handful of tights.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe there's something to be said about being a mustache-twirling potential bad guy. So, who knows? We don't know where this is going to go with Archie. If this is Archie, I don't know. Chikara's weird. Maybe there'll be something happening in the future. But like I said, before this match, I wrote down that I was losing interest. And my interest is maybe peaked again. So we'll see.
So I will say, if you know, you know, from listening to the things that Adam just said. So this match ends up being a gigantic info dump of so much stuff, right? So Archie in his promo says that he has a title shot for the Grand Championship May 18th in Chicago. And he makes a point not to say who it's against. And we on commentary, myself, and what the hell is this Jericho's Appreciation Society name?
Matt Menard?
No, Cool Hand Ange.
Okay, I've lost track of those two people's 7 names. I'm not doing it.
So the obviously the play here is Kingston's defended the title against Green Ant tonight. Green Ant has a victory over him. Winner of this is going on to Georgia the next day to defend against Mr. Touchdown, and then the winner of that is going on to Chicago to defend against Archie. So it's like it could be one of 3 people that Archie is going to be wrestling, and obviously like the idea, the tease there is that it could be, Archie versus Touchdown, who's kind of sort of face but not really now, against each other for the title. But obviously, you'll know where it ends up going anyway. So that's number 1. Number 2 on the info dump. I completely forgot, but the thing that happened at the previous Chikara show that we got where Quack gets the envelope. Yeah. And I'm like, fuck, I forget what that was for. That was Wink Vavasur firing Quack from a wrestler in Chikara.
Okay, was that mentioned on something we missed? Or
we mentioned that on commentary during this match.
Okay, I didn't hear it.
Okay, and then the other thing that were mentioned on commentary at the very beginning, I am like, I always do the introduction. I'm like, Leonard F. Garrison, and being joined by whomever. And I always say, it's always so nice when you show up for commentary. And then Cool Hand Andrew's like, yes, it's good when I remember that I'm supposed to be on commentary. Because I think I might have mentioned when we watched the last show, the main event, Quack and Jushin Thunder Liger against Jigsaw and the Shard. It was supposed to be me and Cool Hand Ange on commentary. Cool Hand Ange may have been distracted talking to someone else. Let's just say it's someone who's retrospectively Bad Place Hall of Famer. But listen, we didn't know back then what we know now. And the whole time, I'm calling the match, he's kind of sort of in my eye line, and I'm trying to flag him down because he's supposed to be on commentary. And he missed out on doing the commentary for that match. So at the meeting for this show, Quack was like, if you have a commentary assignment, please check the sheet and do not miss the match that you were assigned to. So we had a little fun with that. Also, I thought this match was really, really good. It was a nice mix of characters that you don't get a chance to see mix up too much in Chikara. And they did the bit where Jigsaw gives Archie the electric chair drop on the apron, and it looked and sounded super sick, and I think everyone should bring it back.
Yeah, no, that was pretty good. It was the only move that I wrote down from that match, but
there you go.
I'm definitely not taking a note of asking you something off air, so.
All right.
But next up, we have Mr. Touchdown versus the Chiva Kid. All right. First time seeing Chiva Kid, I think, for me.
He's a local North Carolina guy.
Gotcha. New theme music for Mr. Touchdown, or at least the first time I'm noticing it, because I was expecting the ESPN music for the throwbacks. But we have some pretty good dives from the Chiva Kid. Mr. Touchdown looking pretty good. This was, I'd probably say, the best match of the night. Obviously Jigsaw versus Archibald Peck was the first match that I enjoyed, but I think this was the best match as far as just entertaining. But despite a little botch from the Chiva Kid near the finish, Mr. Touchdown gets the win. It was quick, didn't overstay its welcome, but had a couple good high spots.
Chiva Kid, again, I'm not being shoot trash here or anything else like that. There was a group of guys who were wrestling goats. But they were also soccer players out of the North Carolina area. and they would kind of cycle in different people here and there. One of them is this Chiva Kid, who ends up being current independent wrestler, and I think he did like a match or two in AEW, Andrew Everett.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, so I enjoyed the match. It was short. It was good. It was a showcase for Mr. Touchdown. Nothing wrong there. End of disc 1, Joe. So pop out the disc, put in the next one. We have a promo from the Spectral Envoy. Mantis basically says we're going to do our talking in the ring. This is Fist, which is Icarus and Johnny Gargano and Chuck Taylor versus Hollow Wicked, Frightmare, and Ultra Mantis. It is important to know that before the match or going into the match that Icarus and Sugar Dunkerton are both wearing Fist purple, while Gargano and Chucky T are in black. Obviously, continuing what they did last time I watched the Jakar show, they try to get some foreign objects in there. Icarus tried to use a fire extinguisher, Gargano with a trash can. The Envoy debated whether or not to try to bring in a giant fan from outside the crowd. I'm not talking about like a large person. I'm talking about like an actual fan that moves air. Fist is isolating Mantis for very much of the match. Hot tag to Hollow Wicked. Eventually, Hollow Wicked rolls up Johnny Gargano for the pin because Johnny's like distracted yelling at Sugar Dunkerton because Sugar's trying to attend to Icarus. So there's kind of like a little bit of clicks there. We mentioned before that Icarus had a soft spot for Dunkerton, while Gargano and Taylor were kind of like the hard asses of the group. But anyways, the Spectral Envoy gets the win. After the match, Gargano wants to just basically quit Fist. Icarus is like, no, come on, give Sugar a chance. We can make this work. And, Gargano is reluctantly, okay, whatever. We'll try to keep this together. But Johnny Gargano, kind of mirroring what the future NXT personas is, of all the people that are in NXT. He does a super kick, takes out Sugar, and then Icarus spears Johnny Gargano. So who knows where the future of Fist is going to be, because there seem to be breaking at the seams.
Yeah, this was an okay match. Love the personalities involved. The Spectral Envoy promo beforehand was them just doing promos with random belts that were backstage at the venue.
Yeah, I was going to ask what those belts were, because I was like, none of these guys are Chikara champs.
Right. But obviously this is to further the storyline of the splintering of Fist, the babyface turn of Icarus, and kind of writing Johnny out of storylines because Johnny was becoming a bigger player in Dragon Gate USA Evolve at this time. So that was taking up more and more of his time. So this was just kind of the way to kind of wrap all that up.
Yeah. Okay match for me. Obviously, like all the people involved, or most of the people involved in the match. I'm not going to say everybody that was an in-ring competitor in that match I enjoyed the work of, but it was, it was what it was. But next up, we have the main event, Eddie Kingston versus Green Ant. We have a Green Ant promo beforehand, basically saying that, this is his second go at Eddie Kingston for the title. He no longer respects or honors Eddie Kingston anymore. So, that is obviously apparent when the bell rings, and because Green Ant is just aggressive right off the rip, just going right after Eddie Kingston. And he's going right after Eddie Kingston's knee. And I said to myself, oh, great. Another one of those Eddie sells his leg for the entire matches, which it was, but I think it was done a lot better this time than the ones that I had been complaining about previously. Green Ant is like attacking Eddie's knee, doing a frog splash onto the knees. And even when he's going to like hook the leg of Eddie Kingston, he does it in a way where he's kind of twisting Eddie's knee in the process. So it's kind of like a double thing. I'm trying to pin you, but I'm also tweaking at your knee, which I thought was smart. The level of like viciousness from both of these guys was kind of a step up over anything that I had seen in Chikara from them before. Eddie power bombs Green Ant on the outside on like the padding, and commentary does a good job of kind of pointing out that the ground is concrete and the pads aren't that thick. And Green Ant's almost counted out. He just responds at the 19.5 count. But then there's two back fists to the future on Green Ant, and Eddie Kingston eventually gets the win. And I'll just point out again, we're furthering the storyline that Eddie Kingston has to defend the Grand Championship at every single Chikara event going forward. I assume the next Chikara event is the next day. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It is.
He's beaten, he's battered, he's barely surviving. Green Ant looked awesome in this. Probably the best singles Green Ant match that I've seen, but a legitimate challenger to Eddie Kingston, but Eddie Kingston prevails once again.
Yep, as soon as Eddie starts selling the leg, I'm like, oh, I'm going to hear it from Adam. Be a damn shame if Eddie found out how much you hate his matches. You're lucky he doesn't listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
But I like this match, but again, all the reasons that you mentioned, the storyline must keep going. We are not watching the show that's the next day, which is in Georgia. I forget where in Georgia, but again, look at a map. North Carolina to Georgia is a bit of a hike. Mm-hmm. So again, we were most of us driving from like the Philly area to North Carolina, which is a hike, and then from North Carolina to Georgia, which is a hike, and then driving home, which is a hike. And then we are skipping that show again. Rather uneventful show. Spoilers: Eddie Kingston retains over Mr. Touchdown. 3.0 retain over the Batiri, and then we head into Tag World Grand Prix weekend, which is 2 shows, an afternoon and a night show. From Chicago, we will not be watching both shows in their entirety.
Okay, good.
You're going to get like a best of hits from the 2 shows to kind of put one show together, if that makes any sense.
No, absolutely. All right.
So what do you have to assign to me, Mr. Adam?
Well, Joe, obviously there's been a lot of talk the last week or two about WWE being like a new promotion, that the opportunities are endless. You know, anything can happen now that old Paul's in charge. And I had actually made a joke a week or so ago that they should have just went ahead and just like stripped everybody of their titles and ended all the storylines and just started anew. Kind of like happened on the episode of Nitro from April 10th, 2000, where Eric Bischoff and Vince Russo came in and just stripped everybody of their titles and started everything from scratch. So, Joe, we are going to jump on the cock and we're going to watch the episode of Nitro where the New Blood and the Millionaires Clubs all got their origins.
You know, there was a time, Adam, you think you're punishing me by making me watch 2000 WCW?
Not at all. I want to watch this. I have not seen any of this since it aired live 22 years ago, and I want to rewatch it.
And I will say this: if you're a sucker, you'll go watch it on the cock. I'm gonna go find this by legal means, I assure you.
Is there maybe like different music and stuff that I could enjoy if I don't go on the cock, if I were to do it through other legal means?
You know me. I just like I like watching the the original airing, the purest, unadulterated form of these shows, you know?
Gotcha. Huh. Well, maybe point me in the direction of that totally legal means as well, you know?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe
All
if
right.
you're good.
Otherwise, I'll just jump on the cock as well. You know, it's there. I checked. I was worried that it wouldn't be. And depending on how I enjoy this might be a thing, you know?
Uh-huh.
We'll see. I debated, Joe. I was going to be like, maybe we should watch the last episode of Nitro. And then I was like, nah, that's kind of overplayed. And I don't like I have no nostalgia for the Vince McMahon and Shane McMahon stuff. So I was like, well, maybe we'll watch like the episodes of Nitro leading up to the end, like after the Greed pay-per-view and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what? Let's go back to a starting point, kind of like a fresh new number 1, which is the Bischoff and Russo era.
Right.
So.
We are getting to a point where once I'm done assigning Chikara shows, which is going to be pretty soon, sooner than you think, I might just be assigning to you like week by week episodic TV of like whatever I could find, like Mid-South, Old Memphis, ECW, something, you know?
Well, you keep mentioning, Mid-South and Old Memphis. It better not be that old because I'm not watching anything prior to 1990.
Well, it'll talk, pal.
Well, okay, then I'll be assigning a Cody Rhodes reality show then.
Well, that's going to be your problem.
You can't tell me that things are off limits and then not honor my off limits stuff.
Uh-huh. Well, I'm sure I could find Memphis prior to 1990.
Again, I'm sure you can, but I'm not watching if it's prior to
after 1990. After 1990.
Because otherwise, I'm just going to show up and take an incomplete for homework.
All right.
All right, Joe. What's next?
So hey, I'll put the link. Well, no, I can't put the link. It's on the Peacock. I don't know. Maybe if you ask me, I'll send you a Dropbox link or something. I don't know. But hey, you can support the show by signing up for Jerry's Internet Wrestling Emporium, aka IndependentWrestling.tv. I don't know if you saw that they had the Kurt Angle podcast advertising for them this week.
No, I didn't see that.
And I sent Jerry a message with the image that just said, "We're just cutting checks to Olympic gold medalists now." And he replied, "Ha. Nothing more outside of that. He's too busy body shaming 90-year-olds." So if you use the promo code @odds, new subscribers, and you stick with it, and if you sign up, you absolutely will stick with it. We get a little bit of a kickback. It's our way or your way of letting Jerry know that you came to him from us. You could also help us out by purchasing shirts and stuff from our TeePublic store. You can get there through the mothership link, tinyurl.com/longboxheroes. 35% off everything up until Sunday. And that's a bunch of add-ons with wrestling-inspired designs. Longbox Heroes, Longbox Heroes After Dark, Final Wrestling Plays, Hit My Music, and, of course, Fig Daddy Cool has a shirt in there as well. I don't know how I'm going to get money to him when those shirts start selling like hotcakes,
Just send it to me and I'll look for them.
You'll leave it in a mason jar on his porch or something?
If I can find where he lives. Yeah.
Gotcha. And also another way you can help us out is by making any and all of your purchases through our Amazon affiliate link. It's in the show notes to every single one of these episodes, no matter how it is that you get these episodes. Does not cost you anything extra. Amazon call it an advertising fee. I call it the thing that makes Adam happy at the end of the month when he gets his cut of the fucking money.
Yeah.
Notable purchases through the Amazon click-through this past week include an 8-inch and 6.5-inch samurai-style letter opener with stand.
Ooh, nice. That sounds like you got not only a way to open letters, but a way to do a quick shanking if necessary.
Exactly. Somebody also purchased magnetic dry erase markers fine, 12 colors whiteboard markers dry erase marker with eraser cap, low odor whiteboard markers fine tip dry erase markers for kids, teachers, office, and school supplies. Very odd placement of commas in that description, but thank you very much for buying those.
Yeah, absolutely. I get that you're trying to pop like an algorithm. You want to mention as many things, as many keywords as possible in these descriptions. But I feel like some of these, they're just saying the same words over and over again. They should look for repetition and get rid of that, and then it could add more unique words.
Well, again, you have dry erase in there 3 times.
And
you
marker.
You have whiteboard in there twice, but one is as 2 separate words, and one is as 1 word together. And then again, of course, you have markers in there 3 times as well.
Yeah, I get the plural and the singular versions and the hyphenated and compound words, but I think I need to get a job being the guy who helps these Chinese companies translate their Amazon listings. I think that could be a living for me.
It's something you could pitch. Start writing up a resume.
Yeah, I should do that. But somebody who doesn't need a resume, that's these podcasts, Joe. And those podcasts are Longbox Heroes, Longbox Heroes After Dark, Final Wrestling Place, We Need Music, Hit My Music. No, Jesus Christ, I keep doing this. We Need Wrestling. Hit My Music, Porch Talk, Viewer's Choice, WWE War, IWTV Guide, Pod Van Dam, Wings on Wings, Between the Sheets, and celebrating their 300th episode. Although they did some kabuki-ish shit to get to this numbering, is Wrestling Cheers. And Joe, I will say, as a podcast that would never tweak their numbers to meet a certain event or deadline, I'm not a big fan of that, but congrats nonetheless, Wrestling Cheers. And obviously I will not promote or mention the A Show on this podcast.
Good, I'm glad.
Yes.
And hey, I would be remiss not to mention here as well. Of course, we are just as of this recording, a little more than 2 weeks away from the LVAC Steel Stacks SmackDown at Steel Stacks in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, as part of Music Fest. Names are being announced, matches are being announced. Obviously we have the Boar and Erica Lee, who just recently won the women's Super 8 in ECWA this past weekend. The two of them are in the tag team version of the Super 8 in ECWA as well, coming up here in the near future. Again, you win titles, you win championships. That just means more people want to buy your merch. That's the most important thing.
Yep, I'm hoping that they win that ECWA title or the trophy, and we get to see a Boar in the pool photo shoot.
Yes, it's time for him to open up that OnlyFans.
Exactly.
So the two of them are taking on Rex Lawless and Little Mean Kathleen. Puff is taking on Thunder Frog in a singles contest. In a 6-person scramble, and they have some cute name for whatever the scramble is, and I don't have it right here in front of me. Common MK, Jet Jagori, Pancakes, Clara Sierras, who we saw on the Real Rumble show, Blackstrom, and the returning Akuma in a 6-person multi-person match. And then Gabby Ortiz makes her return as she takes on the debuting Davienne.
Yeah, all right.
And if you're one of those people that are not on the screen share and you can't wait until the announcements come out, I could tell you the other 3 matches on the show. Ooh. And I might even tell you what the sports entertainment segment on the show is as well.
No, I'm just sitting here reading. Don't mind me. All right. Yeah. Ooh. All right. I'm glad I got my tickets.
That's right. So hopefully see you there. And listen, I'm just going to throw this out, okay? If you're following the LVAC, you're going to see that in a couple of the announcements, they tagged Smart Mark Video and IWTV, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You should be there live, okay? I'm not going to say that the show is going to be streaming live on IWTV, but I'm not going to say that it's not going to be streaming live on IWTV.
It depends. It's a coin flip, really. You never know.
Yeah, I think they're under the AIW model when it comes to those sort of things.
Yeah. Their ability to do it might be there, but maybe it happens, maybe it don't. It'd be a shame if you didn't see it, is what I was saying.
Like, you want to see the show in person, but if for some reason you really can't see the show in person, you'll be able to see the show as it happens.
Yeah. But, I mean, if you watch it on Jerry's Internet Wrestling Emporium, you don't have the opportunity to get a Mark photo with Joe or I.
Right.
And really, that's, like, what you're going for.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm looking forward to it, Good times.
So, what do we want to do here? We want to do weekly purchases now?
Yeah, I would assume that is what is next.
All right.
Some might cost a little. Some might cost a lot. But I'm the $100 Vansky. And your figures will be bought.
I don't know why the jingle popped me this week. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, It's
it pops you every goddamn week.
I mean, no, I think what pops me every single time is the new Does Joe Know the Card. I laugh every time for that. But I feel like, I don't know, recently this jingle isn't as effective on me, but this week it got me back. It's like one of those things where it's like it's funny, then it's not funny, then it comes back to being funny again. We're at that point. Anyways, Joe, I'm sure you had a big week in weekly purchases, so I'll let you sneak in towards the middle, if that's all right, and I'll throw a couple out first.
Oh, sure.
Just a little bit of housekeeping. I had said on the pod before that I think it is financially irresponsible to not back every single crowdfunded item. With that being said, there are 4 days left to back the Cobra Hiss tank on Hasbro Pulse. I have not yet done it, I should though, right, Joe? I need like some reassurance that I should do that. It's been fully funded, so every single stretch item is there. So it's like 3 classified series figures, the tank, all the little doodads and whatnot. So I should do it, right?
You're just gonna flip it, right?
Most likely. I'd say
yeah,
probably.
Go for it. Just flip it. If you're keeping it for your practically non-existent G.I. Joe collection, I would have tried to talk you out of it, but you're going to flip it, just flip it. Buy it, flip it.
Yeah, I have a handful. Like, most of my G.I. Joes are just, like, Cobra Bats and, like, 1 or 2 other things, but, yeah, I should buy it to flip it. You're right. One other housekeeping thing I mentioned last week, that when I went to Pandora's Box, I was considering buying a Power of the Force Dark Trooper figure, if you remember that, and then I saw it on eBay and it was cheaper.
Yes.
But anyways, I added it to my watch list on eBay, and then the seller basically sent me an even cheaper offer. So I pulled the trigger and I got it for like $20 shipped. So very happy with that. Those Power of the Force expanded universe figures were hard to find back in the day. And obviously with eBay, nothing's hard to find anymore. But that was one of them that I was missing for a long time from that set. And I'm glad to add it. So right now I'm only missing, I want to say like Mara Jade and Admiral Thawne, if that's a guy. I think those are the only 2 of those expanded universe Star Wars figures I don't have.
Gotcha.
And then one last thing before I send it over to you. I've been on the quest looking for the new McFarlane McFarlane Gold Label Walmart exclusive Azrael figure. No luck so far. I do not think they've hit our neck of the woods, at least according to Brickseek. But I did buy the Gold Label Parallax figure, and I actually picked up a second one to send out to the Scottie Pippen of Azrael figure collecting, who wanted one for his kid. So happy to help him out there.
Oh, that was mighty nice of you.
Thank you. But that's I'll send it over to you, Joe. Let's get a weekly purchase out of you.
Yeah. I only got one thing. So again, it's a light week. We'll see how this weekend goes. But it's time to start shopping for like my kid's birthday and Christmas and stuff like that. So there's this game that he's been talking about that he's been waiting for it to come out on the Switch. It's called Ooblets. Okay. It's kind of like a mix of like your Stardew Valley with a little bit of Pokemon with a little bit of like card-based strategy game in there. It's an indie developed game, but it's kind of like an higher end indie developer game. And it's finally coming out for the Switch. It was supposed to come out summer, but now it's not coming out until last half of 2022. And I ordered it through Fangamer because it comes with a bunch of extras like a map and a sticker sheet, little postcards. And again, I'm still a physical media person, and I try to impart that on my kid. Very few games does he have for the Switch or things that he could download on the Switch.
Yeah.
Physical media is always the way to go.
Plus,
you never know.
With games, you can then, like, when you're done with them, you can sell them. You can't do the DLC, but can't you just sell the games? Like, that's what I am with, like, PlayStation. I'd rather have a copy that when I'm done, you're not going to get what you paid for it, but at least you have some type of currency there.
Right. Now, we're going to get, obviously that's going to be for my kid to make the decision when he gets a little bit older and he wants to start selling games, but we're not at that point yet.
Sure.
And we've been a little bit more, like he maybe only gets like 2 to 3 games a year now. We kind of went crazy in the early days of the Switch. He has way too many goddamn Switch games. But like he always gets the new Pokemon game. He always gets whatever the new Mario game is. And then like the far and few between like a Kirby game or something like that. But anyway,
yeah.
Where I was going with this is yes. So resale value on a game. Yes. I don't know if you remember this. This was a couple years ago. There was discussion, and we're off the subject, but I got nothing else to talk about for weekly purchases. So I pre-ordered that Ooblets game for my kid. It'll hopefully be here for his birthday and or Christmas because he'll get it for one or the other. A couple years ago, there was discussion that either Sony or Microsoft or both of them were going to put something in their games that it was a code that their intent was to eliminate like resale value at your GameStops and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, just basically you can buy the game and like your system is the only system it'll ever play in.
Right. So different fan communities were up in arms, GameStops and reseller places like that were up in arms. And then when reached for comment, and I don't have the quote exactly, when reached for comment, a spokesperson at Nintendo, when asked how they feel about this, said, "We don't know what that's like. When we make games, people want to keep them forever." And
it's such a great troll work, yeah.
But it's true though. Like, you know what I mean? Like when Nintendo puts out a game, like whether it's a Mario Kart game or a Mario Party game or like a Zelda game or whatever it is, they put it out for good, man. Like you're gonna pay $60 for that game, but you're gonna get like your life out of that game. And yeah, there are people that do resell games, and that's just the way that they are. But if it's like from Nintendo themselves, they don't usually get resold, you know?
Yeah. You know what, just on this topic, and it's not a purchase, but I've been watching a lot of videos on YouTube, just kind of like about classic games from like our childhood. Sure. And it got me really itchy. Like I want to go and replay like Mario Brothers 2, Mario Brothers 3, maybe Super Mario World, maybe like Legend of Zelda, like some of those old either Nintendo or Super Nintendo games. And obviously there's a lot of ways I can do it, whether it be like I don't own a Switch. I don't currently own any Nintendo systems. So like, yeah, I can get a Switch and then, get the games downloaded from their store. A couple of years ago, they had like the NES Classic and the SNES Classic system.
Yeah.
And I remember I had bought those systems and then I flipped them because that's the way I am. I kind of wish that Nintendo didn't make them so scarce that they had a flipping value. I wish they just mass produced them so that people like me would have just sat on them and enjoyed them. But like I'm actively looking at ways, like there's even like modded NES classics and bootleg Chinese ones that have like hundreds of games on them. But I'm looking into my options for how I can go and replay some old Nintendo games because I'm getting real itchy to do it,
Well, I don't condone this, but you could certainly do through like emulators and stuff. But if you want that authentic experience, that's a little tougher.
Yeah, I want a Nintendo controller or Super Nintendo controller or something like it in my hand.
Sure.
And I want to watch it on my TV. I don't want to be sitting on a laptop,
Absolutely.
But it's something that I'm going to look into. Maybe not today, maybe not next month, but the urge has been the back of my head for a couple months now to like replay some of those old games.
Yeah, it's there's lots of ways to do it. Yep. It might cost you a couple bucks, but if you got time, it's worth doing it.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, I guess a couple other things I did purchase. Joe, I this is not an all heat no heaters rant, but it could have been. Are you aware of the differences in Funko Pops, whether you get them at a convention versus getting them at a store like Walmart or GameStop when there's like an exclusive?
Isn't it just the difference of a sticker on the box?
It is a difference of a sticker. So let me give you as a quick example, San Diego Comic-Con, which was obviously last week or the week before. We talked a lot about it. And much like any other convention, there were San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Funko Pops and a couple of them that I wanted. And we talked about this on the air. I usually go on Funko's website and I buy the ones that I want if I can. And if I can't get them on the website, I'll go and get them at the stores that have the shared exclusives. Because a lot of times they'll be like, oh, this one's also, exclusive to Walmart or Target or GameStop, whatever. But the benefit had always been of getting them on Funko's website is that you'll get the exclusive sticker that says San Diego Comic-Con on it. And like if you buy it on the website or get it at the convention, it'll say San Diego Comic-Con. But then if you get it at Target or GameStop or whatever, it'll just say summer exclusive. Or like if it's a New York Comic-Con, the one you get at the show or on Funko's website will say New York Comic-Con, but then you get it at a store, it'll say fall exclusive. Does that make sense? It's like two different versions of the sticker.
Yes.
So the one that carries more resale value is obviously the con exclusive sticker. So I always try to buy them from Funko's website. And in the past, I've always gotten the con exclusive sticker. Every once in a while, they'll fuck you and they'll send you a shared exclusive sticker. And it's just, it is what it is. Some of them slip through the cracks. But I don't know if I mentioned this before, but the San Diego Comic-Con exclusives that you ordered from Funko all came with the shared exclusive this year. All of the San Diego stickers were just at the convention. So that kind of bothered me, but not so much that I was going to be like, oh, I need to rebuy all of these Funkos that I got from San Diego, except for the Jumbo Unicron Funko. I am as much as I can be a Transformers Funko Pop completist. And when I got the one in the mail a couple days ago and it had the shared exclusive sticker on it, I was like, oh, God damn it, I got to go on eBay and buy the San Diego version. So I am now the owner of 2 different Unicron Funko Pops, where the only difference is the basically the print that's on the sticker, because I'm a crazy person.
Yeah. So as you say, is that a recent change that if you buy the San Diego exclusive, not at the con, but through Funko themselves, that it is the shared exclusive sticker? Like in the past, was it always the San Diego sticker?
So in the past, whenever I ordered stuff from Funko's website, I always got the more in-demand con version of the sticker. At whatever the last big Comic-Con was previous to San Diego, and I don't remember what it was, all of like half of my order was like one and half of it was the other, if that makes sense. It was kind of a mixed bag.
Okay.
But from what I am reading online, going forward, the only way you can get the con sticker is at the con, which pisses me off.
Yeah, that sucks. Again, a change to it where, like I said in the past, you said it was a mixed bag, but yeah, that sucks if you're, jonesing for that specific sticker.
Yeah, and normally I don't care. Like, I get, like, for example, for the San Diego exclusives, there was like a Peacemaker Funko, which I ordered. I got sent the shared exclusive, which isn't going to be worth as much as the San Diego version, but it is what it is. I'll settle for it. But if it's like something that I try to be a completist on, like Transformers, I'm stuck going and chasing the more expensive one, Anyways.
For sure.
What was going to be my main event this week, and it's certainly not a big boy purchase, but I messaged, I have a group chat where all we do is go do deep dives into New Japan and Japanese wrestling in general with Brett and DJ from We Need Wrestling.
Oh, for sure.
And I asked a question because I have to admit ignorance on this, but I posed a question to the group and I said, hey, does the Great Okan have a figure? And unfortunately, Joe, he doesn't. I was sad to see he does not have a figure, but it did get me jonesing to go on eBay and find out what merch I can buy of the Great Okan, who is one of my favorite wrestlers and my spirit animal. And while I was not able to get a figure of him, I did buy a card, like a baseball card for lack of better terms. And I'm actually sending you the picture. And it is definitely the coolest representation of the Great Okan in cardboard form I think you can possibly ask for, short of him like hanging out with strippers. But this was a grand total of $4 shipped from Japan. And I kind of wish I bought more of them just so I could have one in every room in the house. And I just might. You never know. Once this one arrives, I might buy more of them, Joe. That's
cool.
Yeah, it's a cool looking card. He's sitting there chilling in a suit with a cigar in his hand. It's pretty awesome. But that was going to be my main event, Joe. But I actually bought something on eBay, a wrestling figure. Because if you notice, I have not mentioned any wrestling figures yet. But this was actually something I was not necessarily in the market for. But I feel like the price was too good to pass up. And it does fit a certain shelf in the Detolfs, we shall say. But I purchased an Anna Jay, one of 5,000 AEW Chase, Joe. And do you want to take a wild guess at what I paid on this? I normally don't usually do this, but do you want to guess what I paid for this figure shipped?
$50.
Keep going lower, Joe.
Really?
Yes, sir.
35 shipped?
I wish. I paid after taxes and shipping $42.50.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So a week or so ago, somebody put one up in the major group for like $60. And I was like, holy crap, that's super low. And I messaged him just on a whim. I was like, you do any better on it? Because I think he had said something like all prices are negotiable. And then he said, well, I'll do 50. And I was like, oh, fuck, that's a good price. But I was like, oh, we're going to show some restraint. We're not going to buy a $50 figure. And then eventually he sold to somebody, and I was kicking myself. But I went on eBay, and somebody else had one for $60, and I sent him an offer for like, it was like $60 shipped or best offer, and I sent him an offer for like $40 or whatever it was that amounted to $42.50 after taxes. And I was like, at that price, I can't not. That's like the price of two standard figures, you know?
Yeah, listen, always make offer, man. That's the
Absolutely.
That's the rule. I'm glad I'm imparting that on more people, you know?
Yeah, I've always been that way, and let's just say I might be going back and forth on like a big boy purchase with some offers right now.
I don't want to blow up your spot, but when you sent us that message earlier today.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm pitting some eBay sellers against each other.
Yeah, maybe I way in over my head with like some of these purchases that I shouldn't be making, but maybe more on that next week. I don't want to talk about it yet, but you know, every once in a while things work out like with that Anna J chase, you know, got a really good deal on it. But Joe, every once in a while things don't work out, and I get pretty pissed off about it, Joe.
Oh, I know what that means.
All heat, no heaters.
Joe, I'm not going to take a long time on this, but last week or the week before, I relayed a story that I read on the internet, and usually the internet's very reliable, but it basically was a conversation that somebody had with Amazon's customer service, and they basically said that, yeah, we had to cancel a bunch of our exclusive Ultimate Hulk Hogan's, but we only canceled the people that we weren't going to be able to fulfill the orders for, and if your order wasn't canceled yet, don't worry, it's going to ship. So after a long goddamn year of waiting, don't worry, we're going to send you your Hulk Hogan Ultimate figure. But you know what, Joe? I was one of those people whose order wasn't canceled. So I'm like, it's only a matter of time. And in a couple days, my figure's going to get shipped. And I saw a thing that said, oh, your order is shipping tomorrow. Don't worry. Don't worry, Adam. You're not going to have to pay double or triple or quadruple in the secondary market. You are a good boy, and you pre-ordered your figure on day fucking 1, hour 1, and you're going to get your figure. So you have nothing to worry about. But you know what, Joe? I have a lot to worry about because Amazon fucking canceled my Hulk Hogan pre-order. August 21st, 2021, I placed that pre-order. And friggin' August 9th, 2022, they cancel it. Almost a year to the day of them basically saying, don't worry, you're getting your figure. And they fucking cancel it. So you know what? Oh, I'll just pop on eBay and see what they're going for. Joe, you want to take a wild guess of what the cheapest one on eBay is going for right now?
Let's say $150.
You're a little bit aggressive on that, but around $90 is the cheapest one on fucking eBay. The cheapest one on Amazon is $150 if you'd like to buy it from one of those secondary market persons. And yes, I've seen that I can go and potentially argue my case and spend 2 hours on Amazon's customer service and maybe get some type of bill credit. But I honestly, I just don't have the energy to do that. So I did complain in the major group, and a major mark slid into my DMs and offered me a not exorbitant markup. It was a markup, but it was way better than the $85, $90 that they're on eBay. And my final purchase for this week, and I'm not happy about it, is I had to go in and rebuy an Amazon exclusive Hulk Hogan Ultimate Edition figure. And oh, by the way, I also pre-ordered an Amazon exclusive Ultimate Goldberg figure that a lot of these idiots already fucking have, but mine's already been delayed twice because there's no rhyme or reason to pre-ordering anything from Amazon when it comes to the Ultimate Edition. And you know what? I take back what I said earlier in the show about Kevin Ford being my favorite independent wrestling commentator, because that jerk already has his Shawn Michaels, already has his Hogan. Both of them have been delayed multiple times. I'll probably never get those either. They're probably going to get canceled a year from now. I hate Amazon. I hate Ultimate Edition figures. I don't hate you, Kevin Ford, but you're on my shit list. And I'm not happy about any of this. God, I hate these pre-orders.
Is this the final straw for you to get out of the Ultimates business?
It's getting there. It's getting there. We'll see if I get my Shawn Michaels or not. I have 2 of them on order. If I get somehow screwed out of getting an Ultimate Shawn Michaels, when noted Shawn Michaels disparager Kevin Ford gets his in like a day, that'll probably be the straw that broke the camel's back.
So have the people doing this, has any of them discovered or realized or anything, any sort of like rhyme or reason as to like who got them and why?
None whatsoever.
If you're saying that you ordered it like day 1, hour 1.
Yep.
Does this mean that they're only going to like day 1, half hour 1 people?
Not at all.
Or are there people chiming in that are like, yeah, I pre-ordered mine like 6 days later and I got mine. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So like the Hulk Hogan, for example, I was watching the Mattel like stream where they were announcing the figure and they were like, okay, and now you can go and pre-order the Hulk Hogan. And however long it took me to like minimize the video and see the Hogan's listing and click buy, that's when I ordered it. And there are people like that figure has been sold out or unavailable on Amazon's website for the better part of the year. But on occasion, you'd get the Preternia update where they're like, oh, the Hulk Hogan's back up on Amazon, or you'd see in the major Facebook group, somebody would give the Iggy that it's available again. And there are people who pre-ordered it or ordered it throughout the last year at various times that got theirs. But meanwhile, mine that was placed like literally almost as quickly as humanly possible, never got theirs. There are people that pre-ordered multiples or across multiple points in time and got all of theirs. And I just never got my first one. Derek, our friend, listener of the show, he pre-ordered his maybe 15, 20 minutes after I pre-ordered mine because I ordered mine and then texted him, and his got canceled 2 weeks before mine did. There's literally no rhyme or reason to it. I find it hard to believe that Kevin Ford ordered his Shawn Michaels before mine. If not, we pre-ordered them at the exact same time, and his is already in his hands, and mine has already been delayed until the end of August. My Goldberg, when I first pre-ordered it, or when I first ordered it, they said they were in stock, and I would get it in another like 2 days, as a Prime member, and now that says like late September. The whole process is fucked. Nobody from Mattel has like stepped up and said, yeah, we're having issues with fulfillment or anything like that. Like I said, depending on who you get at Amazon, they have no idea. And I wouldn't expect a regular customer service person to know the ins and outs of the distribution process. But some of them are like, yeah, well, we apologize. Here's $150 store credit. Some of them are like, here's $10 store credit. Some of them are like pound sand. It's just a big clusterfuck. When Ringside is actually a better customer service process than Amazon, then you got it bad,
Well, Amazon's still below Pro Wrestling Tees, though, right?
That is true. Thank God my Moxley finally showed up after 3 weeks in Bethlehem, and I didn't have to deal with Pro Wrestling Tees with trying to get a refund.
Well, they knew you were going to the Steel Stack show in 2 weeks, and they figured we'll just sit it here, and he could just come pick it up.
That was probably the idea, yeah. But yeah, man, right now, like I said, I had no problem getting the Jeff Hardy, which a lot of people had cancellation issues with. And the Triple H and Ultimate Warrior, they shipped with like no problems. I bought it and like 2 days later they showed up. But that Hogan was a clusterfuck. And I'm worried about the Goldberg. I'm not really worried about the Goldberg, but I'm more worried about the goddamn Shawn Michaels. Am I ever going to get these figures? Why do I have to pay like 2 times, 3 times retail when a guy who pre-ordered it after me or the same time as me or a week after me is getting them in their hands? The whole process is fucked and it's pissing me off.
If I cared,
yeah.
If I had any skin in this game, right? And I was more of an active poster in the Broski group, right?
Yeah.
I would try to coordinate with these folks that had these cancellations of like, okay, when did you order? When did you get your cancellation? Like, where are you? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, where are you in the United States? And I would try to run some sort of something to try to figure out the why of all this. Because this all feels like it can't just be random. There has to be some sort of why people are getting them. In the hopes that if I get that raw data, and there's enough people, I'm sure there's a ton of people in the Broski group that got it. That's enough of a sampling of however many figures there's going to be for this thing that you could get enough data to see, like, okay, it seems as though if you were on the East Coast and you ordered it within the first, like, hour, you got it canceled. But if you were in the Midwest and you ordered it within the first 24 hours, you were okay. Like, I would be like, and if I had free time, that's the other thing. Skin in the game, more active in the group, and free time, I would be trying to cultivate this to figure out why. So one, I at least had that peace of mind that I figured it out, that it wasn't just a random shot in the dark that I didn't get it. So at least for the next time, I know, and in the hopes can like, okay, I've created this group. Within the group, we're all going to order, and we're all going to kind of track our process together.
Yeah. It's a decent idea. It is a lot of work, like you said. I mean, option B is giant class action lawsuit against Amazon and Walmart for not fulfilling pre-orders. Who's with me?
Well, again, I'm also shocked that Amazon hasn't, Mattel hasn't addressed this yet.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people complaining about that, like, why are they being silent on that? And, like, why is it that, and I get it, like, different characters have different demand and everything like that, but, like, why is the Hulk Hogan and the Jeff Hardy next to impossible to get? And they've always been impossible to get. But then, like, the Triple H and the Ultimate Warrior, there's just billions of them sitting in warehouses everywhere. And then now it's looking like the Shawn Michaels and the Goldberg might be closer to the Hogan and the Hardy. You know, it's like there's no rhyme or reason to anything. And yeah, there hasn't been a statement that I've seen from anybody, you know, to address it.
So then on top of this, it makes me wonder that even though all these Hogans got canceled, a month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, are they just going to randomly pop back up?
Yeah, and that would piss me off because I've already waited a year. If they honestly, if they were like, okay, you're going to get it in November, but you're going to get it. You know, we just have to wait for them to come on a slow boat from China or whatever. I would have been fine with that. But if they're going to cancel it and then I went and dropped $55 to get one of them in the major group and then have them just show up again, you know, like 3 months from now, 4 months from now, I'm going to be like triple pissed.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm sure that'll be a future rant. But thank God the AEW Supreme figures don't do this to me, Joe. That's a reliable line.
Yet.
Yeah, yet.
Give it time. Give it time.
Yeah. Well, let's get us out of here, Joe, unless you have any other secret purchases.
No, I do actually have two last things to mention. One, you got to follow the social media accounts. The next LVAC show is October 21st.
Okay.
I just saw the LVAC account tweeted out, and it was kind of sort of confirmed. So October 21st, you know, even if you're you're typically booked on those shows, this might be the first time that you're finding out that there's going to be a show on October 21st.
I'm just going to put that in my phone.
Yep. And then, hey, as part of the soon-to-be-named network, Longbox Heroes, what have you, the Pigskin Pick'ems are live to start doing. You know, it's through ESPN's Pigskin Pick'ems thing. We've been doing it for several years, and it's always fun to see a lot of the listeners of this show pop up in there. We first plugged it on Longbox Heroes this past week. It's going to be the pinned post at the top of Longbox Heroes where all the shows are housed. At least my shows, you know, Longbox Heroes After Dark, At Odds with Wrestling. So go ahead, sign up. It's very easy. The instructions are there in the description. And we already have 3, 4, 5, 6 people in there, not including myself. Todd Vansky, all caps, is in there. The not so great Okan is in there, amongst others.
Oh, that better not be shade at my favorite Japanese wrestler.
And I'll just say Words is not signed up yet, so it'll be fun to see when Words does sign up. I know Todd hasn't done any social media stuff about this, but I figure I'm doing my contractual obligation regarding the mentioning of this as early as possible, so I never have to think about it ever again.
Now that you mentioned it, I will make sure that we promote it in the weeks leading up to the season kicking off.
Yep, you'll have to let our social media person handle that.
I will. I'll let the intern know.
Yes, exactly. All right. So I think that's plenty of show this week. We did keep it under 3 hours.
Yeah.
I think that's a plus.
Yeah, I think 2 hours to 2:15 is a nice sweet spot. That's where we ran last week.
Exactly. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for listening. For Adam, this is Joe saying be safe out there and enjoy some wrestling.
You're listening to the soon-to-be-named network, the Lamborghini of Podcast Network.